Hello and welcome back to Financially Fit here with Alan Dembski and Taunya Abaya from Buffalo First. We got an exciting series of videos coming up this month as we take a deeper dive into the retirement picture. What does retirement look like and what does it mean for many Americans? I think one of the biggest things that we hear about is there's always these numbers thrown around that are stuck to, well, you gotta take 4% of your retirement portfolio, or that's what you can live on. You have to retire at age 62, 66, whatever that. You have to have this at least $1 million. You have to have at least $2,000 a month coming in for Social Security. All the whatever newsletter or source that you want to read, there's all these numbers floating around. And Taunya and I will take a deeper dive into a lot of these questions or give you some answers or solutions as we move forward throughout the month. But today we're going to kind of just touch on some of the things that we will be covering throughout the month and throw you in some tidbits along the way today. Just so you continue to watch our videos. So I'm going to turn it over to Taunya real quick, and just she's got a real life situation that she wanted to bring to our attention today, and I'll chime in with a few others as well. So Taunya, it's all you.
Hi everybody. Thank you, Alan. I had a woman come in a little while ago and she was very excited. She'd gotten me from a referral and wanted to talk about the fact she was retiring. She is a teacher and she has hit 62 and she is ready to retire. She was, I can't tell you how gung-ho and happy. She's ready to go. So we sat down and I started asking her some questions. One being, okay, you're retiring. How much you're going to get from your pension, each month. She said, well, I don't know. I said, okay, fine. Then that will be your first piece of homework from me is you need to, almost every school district has some sort of a packet that they should send you each year or it should be online that shows what exactly your specific pension will be at different ages. Okay, so that was fine. So then I said, well, what else do you plan on, living off of? Well, she had a 403B that had some money in it. She had some questions about that. I said, that's fine. She says, okay, so when I retire, do I have to take it all out? I said, no. She said, do I have to take it out in payments every month? Well, no, you don't have to do that at all. So there were questions about the 403B. Then we started talking. She says, well, I will also get Social Security. I said, and I did ask her at that point in time, how old are you? Well, I'm 62. I wanted to make sure that was right. And I said, okay, if you're 62, you understand that you won't be getting your full Social Security if you take it out at your age. And she looks at me, she's like, I don't understand. And I said, well, let's go. And I pulled the Social Security website up and we went and took a look at it. And it showed that her full retirement, because she's 62 this year, will be 66 in 10 months. Oh, she says, then we went and took a look at the numbers. And it turned out that when she retires at the end of this coming school year, 25% of her Social Security will not, she will lose if she does not. So she only gets 75% of her total Social Security if she takes it when she retires at the end of this school year. This was quite a shock to her. So I asked her, do you know how much you're getting for Social Security? No. I said, okay, so here's your next piece of homework. You need to go in. And she says, I think I've logged in before. I said, great, you need to log in and you need to find the paperwork. I said, usually in the paperwork, it gets you a set of 3 different options. I said, however, the middle one will tell you, it'll say it's 66 in 10 months. This is the amount. Everybody's is different. I said, and she didn't understand that either, that there would be differences. I came away from this conversation, and actually Alan called me a Debbie Downer when he heard that I had this conversation, because I feel like I did take some wind out of this poor woman's sails. But I came away with the idea that we really need to talk more about what retirement means, and what is in retirement, and who, and every single person has to understand that nobody gets the same amount anywhere for anything. And how is it going to work for you? And honestly, I don't want to have to tell anyone 6 months before they think they're going to retire that there are all of these types of issues that they need to go back and take a look at. I would much rather be having, and I know Alan agrees with me, much rather be having that conversation 10, 15 years before retirement, so that things can be set up. And so there is a great deal more knowledge moving forward, because it's the client's life, and they're the ones who are going to have to figure out how to deal with it. And we'd like to help earlier rather than later. Right, Alan?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. Well, it's not funny, but it's interesting. I should say it's interesting, not funny.
Right.
It's interesting how when people actually get closer to that age, how much that conversation changes.
Yes.
Because when we start working with people, and we're trying to tell them, we need to do financial planning. We need to, estimate what age you want to retire at, not what age we think you should retire at. We need to take that in account 10 years ago to start planning. It opens up those conversations. Whereas when people don't do planning, or they just hire us to do investment management, and then we start having these conversations, it's like, oh, I never thought about that before. Or, I was just mentioning before we went on the air here that I had a client that said, I am retiring in August. No matter what, I am retiring in August. Well, we're in October, and guess what? He's still working because he really does like his job. As much as the day-to-day operations sometimes annoys him, and things that he has to do at work, but at the end of the day, he really enjoys what he does. So that has been postponed a little bit. So it's just interesting how people, they hear that 62, or I retire when I'm 65. Well, where does that come from? Can you retire at 65? Should you retire at 65?
Right. These are conversations that need to be had, and it's so interesting too, because once you start having them, you really, it allows you to kind of think about what you want to do in retirement. I mean, I think everyone just thinks I'm going to retire, and Alan and I both have had people look at us and go, "But I like my job." Well, you don't have to retire at 62 or 65 or at 70. I mean, this is not something, but yes, it's just become that thing where I don't think people quite understand what it is. In fact, to me, it's just another change in your life. But it's a change in your life that you have to know what to do with. Just like if you turn to your wife at the age of 30 and say, or husband, and say, you know what, I think we should have some babies, right? I'd like to, I'd like to grow our family. That is a huge financial change. So is retirement. Retirement has kind of always been billed as the end all. Well, with people retiring and then living 30 years afterwards, it's not an end all. It's just another change in life. And these conversations need to be had. So we want to know, we want everybody to have a basic understanding of what is a part of the financial part of retirement. And that's what we're going to do for the next 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked out our video on Medicare yet, I don't know if we posted it to YouTube, but we did a presentation on Medicare, and I was just Googling what the average cost of health insurance in New York is for an individual. It's $700 a month. So if you retire at 62, if you don't have lifetime health care, if you're not one of those fortunate people that do have lifetime health care that's paid for, can you afford an extra $700 a month just for a single individual high deductible plan? We're not even talking an HMO or PPO plan. We're talking high deductible, $700 a month, which would equate to almost, for an individual, almost $3,500 of out-of-pocket costs for your deductible before the 20% co-insurance. So those are a lot of numbers, but $700 a month that you would have to pay for your health insurance, Your employer may be paying for a lot of that. You may be paying for it yourself. But 65 is when you're eligible for Medicare. And I'm curious. I guess I'll have to do more research unless you know where that whole I got to retire at 65 mentality came from.
I don't know. 65 was just somehow the end all be all. Maybe for a while, I think 65 for a while was Social Security. And
The
that
full
was
retirement age.
full retirement was 65. And I think it had been for years. And so that was it. You retire at 65. If you retire early, you retire before 65. Otherwise, you retire at 65. I think that's it. And coming back around to what Alan said at the very beginning, all of those numbers. Sometimes when you hear all of those numbers, I know a lot of people just put their head in the sand. Okay, I'm never making $1 million. I'm never, I'm never getting this, or I can't do that. And that's why we want to have these conversations, because you really can, and the earlier the better. Yeah, so we're gonna work on demystifying all of those numbers and hopefully getting you headed in the right direction.
Well, it's so some people may need $1 million. Some people may need 5 million. Some people may need 100,000. It is truly completely different for everybody, and everyone's situation is different. I just had this conversation with a gentleman 2 weeks ago. He has a state pension. He has an old pension from General Motors. He'll have presumably some of his Social Security. And then he's got a guaranteed income annuity that he took out years ago. He won't even need to touch his investment accounts because he's going to be having more money coming in than he's going to spend based on his goals in retirement. So it's truly, truly different for everybody. And that's again, the importance of financial planning is not only that retirement picture. I mean, the accumulation part, in my estimation, is easy.
Right.
I mean, just ask Warren Buffett. He thinks it's easy. I mean, he is 90 some years old and a multi-billionaire, but the accumulation part to me is the easiest part. Start putting away money. It's the distribution part that's the hardest. What are the tax implications on collecting Social Security early? And we'll touch on that when we do our Social Security presentation. But everything that comes involved in the financial world, everything revolves around taxes. And if anyone thinks taxes are going to go lower, I highly doubt that.
So
we're not a political show, so we're not going to
No.
touch on that.
No, but we aren't. But they probably just have to at some point in time as our country moves forward. And yes, and retirement. What types of retirements? This is what we'll talk about too, because that also directly deals with taxes. When do you pay the actual taxes? When should you? What age are you? Where are you in your income stream at the moment? All of these things matter.
What's interesting, I had this conversation from a career W-2 employee, retired, and because of all the income they have coming in, they didn't understand why they were penalized on their taxes for not making quarterly payments.
See?
So the education of going from W-2, never having to worry about because your employer's paying, half your taxes or withholding your portion, that you're usually not hit with a penalty for not paying your taxes on time. And it was kind of a shock. Really, that happens? Well, yeah, it does happen. And to all the self-employed people, they know what we're talking about in this part. So just understanding all that. And like I said, we'll touch on Social Security. We'll do a little Medicare talk. Like Taunya said, we'll talk about the retirement picture, and hopefully we'll be able to show some.
Yeah. Well, you said that. I said in healthcare, but you said that with the Medicare. But also getting to the point, if you retire before 62, you're not getting Medicare. So exactly how are you going to fund your healthcare until you get to the age which you can do that, right?
Right. And healthcare also includes long-term care.
Right.
Whether you're self-funding, you have insurance, you don't have insurance, what's the plan for trying to qualify for Medicaid to try to have the state pay for it without liquidating your assets? So the long-term care conversation, as you approach those ages where you have income coming in, will be a topic of conversation that we'll touch on as well.
We got lots to
And
talk about.
we certainly do. So hopefully you join us. Hopefully we gave you a few little tidbits, and we'll back it up with numbers and facts and keep you interested.
All the fun stuff. All right. Well, we will see you next week. We can't wait to see everyone. Hopefully you all join in.
Thank you very much, and follow us on YouTube and Facebook. And quick disclaimer, anything we discuss is our own opinion, not the opinion of Buffalo First Wealth Management or any of our other partners, Charles Schwab, Aspire, American Funds, and others. Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye.